The Legions of Athena. Chapter 22. The vast green pastures to the north of Athens had begun to bleed red as the war god's forces marched onto it. From above, it seemed as though a crimson carpet was being laid across the grasslands, trampling everything in its path. The Red Army had marched onto the fields and set up camp at its edges. Nothing lay between them and their destination now except even plains, providing a perfect view of what they had come to conquer, Athens. The Athon air fortress was the last of the Martian forces to enter the field from the jagged hills behind them. At its helm, watching his vast army with satisfaction, sat Ares. A smirk ran across the war god's face today, which was a rare sight indeed. But this was no ordinary day. This was a day Ares had been waiting for over a century, ever since his first little skirmish with Athena so long ago. He remembered it well. All for that cunning minx Aphrodite. Aphrodite was never the strongest of gods, and many non-Olympian gods could match her in direct battle. Yet she sat among them in the Council of 12, along with Artemis and Apollo and Ares himself. This was by no way an accident, or as the common mules believed because of her looks. She was by far the most devious among them, and her schemes are what turned her from a lowly river goddess into the goddess of love. Her marriage to that ugly old fool Hephaestus was no mistake either, but a calculated move to get her closer to being an Olympian god. Once the blacksmith had outlived his usefulness, she threw him aside, but not before taking half of his kingdom for herself in the divorce. Ares remembered those days fondly. That was the time Aphrodite had come to him proclaiming love, but Ares was no fool. He knew she merely wanted his strength to back her as she claimed half the Vulcan kingdom for herself and renamed it as Venus. But the war god didn't care. He gladly fulfilled Aphrodite's requests. She was like an addiction for him, even before she decided to divorce the smith god, an addiction he had enjoyed for many nights before. So he gave her the kingdom she had always dreamed of, but this did not quench her greed for even a century. Soon set her eyes on the rest of Hephaestus' kingdom. This was when Ares had first locked horns with Athena, who had come to the smith god's aid in the name of justice. But she did not worry her then. Minerva was not even at half its current glory back then, but Ares still felt it a wise move to back down and let the crippled king keep his desert country. Athena was nothing then. Her kingdom had barely scraped her into the Olympian Council, but she had allies and was part of a dangerous faction called the Sisters of Libra. The Libra sisterhood consisted of some of the most powerful women of the time, founded to uphold the ideals of truth and equality for all. None among them was more dangerous than their leader, Themis, the goddess of divine justice. Even Ares knew better than to challenge her on account of one of Aphrodite's tantrums. The memories of these events a millennium ago were fresh in the war god's mind as he gazed upon the city of Athens. Themis was long dead, and her precious sisters of Libra had gone extinct. No one was coming to save Athena or her kingdom. The mountain ranges that ran along the borders of Mars and Minerva were a predicament for Ares. Crossing it was no easy task, and an attack directly after such an ascent had proven futile in the past. But this time it was different. After the last battle, Ares' main forces had never retreated to Mars. Instead, they hid in the valleys in Minerva, concealed by the hollow storm, all the while resting and preparing themselves in the safety of the so-called truce. Ares knew that the peasants and the sheep would bleat that he had broken his word and dishonored the truce. But in all the years he had been alive, he had learned one thing, that history was written by the victors. Once he crushed Athena, he would be the one to dictate what is right. And crush her, he would, he thought, proudly beaming at his forces, 80,000 strong, readying themselves for the siege of Athens. Maximus had reached to the west tower. After Icarus had crashed their meeting to deliver his message, the goddess had ordered him back to the tower. He didn't want to leave. He wanted to help Icarus to the infirmary, and perhaps even break the news of his father's demise. It was not a conversation he wished to have, but he felt as though he owed it to Daedalus. But Athena's orders were clear, and moreover, Max realized that the news of his father's death perhaps should not come from the person who half the country believed had killed him. Besides, it might not be the time to tell Icarus at all. The country would soon be at war. Maximus found his friends in the dining area of the tower. All three of them were relieved to see him. Mia had jumped off her seat to hug him. It was clear from her reddened eyes that she had been crying. Hedger was sulking in a corner but gave him a half-hearted smile when he saw him. There were a few broken chairs on the floor, and he had no doubt they were Rex's work. Breaking things was how he vented his feelings when he was upset. There were 3 bowls of purple goop on the table that remained untouched. The Minotaur came up to him and put his bionic arm on his shoulder and asked, "What the hell's going on, Max?" He sat down and told them about what had happened to Daedalus. When he finished it, Rex asked, "Perseus, who the snarg is that?" "No idea," Max said. "He seemed infamous. Achilles seemed to know him." "Do you think we would be allowed to go to the funeral?" Mia asked. "If there is a funeral," Max said, which earned him confused looks. "Ares is making his move. He's marching towards Athens as we speak." This got everyone's attention. "What do you mean Ares is making his move? What about the treaty?" Hedger argued. "Can't say I'm surprised," Rex said. "Ares cares squat about honor. So what do we do?" Mia asked. "If that's true, this place will be a battlefield soon. On my way back, I overheard that they are evacuating the citizens through the southern entrance, probably to the other major cities in Minerva, Max said. Then we should leave too, Hedger said. I mean, I know that the Aegis Wall is impenetrable and all, but I'll still feel a lot safer far away from a war zone. You guys should leave if you want, but I'm staying, Maximus asserted firmly. What? Rex asked. What good are you here? We used to be soldiers of Mars. Maybe we could provide them with some intel, or maybe we could fight. I want to help in any way I can. Rex narrowed his one good eye on hearing these words. It was clear he was not happy about this. You want to go against Mars, Max? What you're talking about is treason. Maximus couldn't believe what Rex had just said. After all that had happened, he still considered Mars as his homeland. This was the final insult to the freak show that was his life. Max exploded, and before he knew it, he was off his seat shouting, Treason? Treason? We were chased out of our homes by them, forced to leave everything we knew behind. They chase us across 2 countries, try to kill us, send a freaking tank after us, and you still want to stay loyal to that ruthless warmonger Ares. Rex was taken aback. Max had never shouted at him before. But then again, Max had done a lot of things Rex didn't think was possible. But the Minotaur was not about to back down. Is Ares the only thing you can see a runt? Those soldiers that are fighting for him are just following orders, just like the 2 of us used to. And look where that got us. Athens gave us shelter from our so-called brothers in arms, or did you forget that? Oh, so now you want to be the savior of Athens. Once you blacked out in the Colosseum, these people were asking for your head on a silver platter. They were so sure that Ya were guilty they didn't even want a verdict from the goddess. And now Ya want to protect these people? Rex bellowed. I don't care about Athens. What I care about is destroying Ares, Max roared. Rex couldn't believe what he wasn't hearing. This wasn't like Max at all. This was not the kid who had quit the army because he didn't want his life to be about battle. This was the runt he had to protect in scuffles in the trenches, and now he wanted to destroy gods. Anger boiled up inside Rex. Destroy Ares? And will you destroy Mars with him? Rex mocked. And the trenches as well. Cindy, Talk, Roderick, and even your precious Kayla. Wipe them out all, would you? That's not what I said, Max said through gritted teeth. But if I could help get back at Ares. Ares is Mars, Rex shouted. When are you going to get that in your thick skull? In facim tuam, Mia chanted out of nowhere, and the purple goop flew out from bowls and landed on both their faces. It even hit Hedger right in the snout. You 2 need to cool down, Mia said. Maximus, think about what you're saying. This is a battle of the gods. There is no way you can help Athena even if you want to. If a war is imminent, we have to get out of here. Listen to her, Max, Rex said, wiping the food from his face. We don't owe these people anything. He then stormed off before Max could say another word. Max felt dryness in his throat as he sat back down, wiping away his own goop. He had had arguments with Rex before, but never like this. He had to admit, Mia was right. What help would he be in this war? The 3 of them sat quietly in the room, not looking at each other. Finally, it was Mia who broke the silence. Sorry about that, Hedger. I was only aiming for the other 2. I still haven't perfected that spell, I guess, she apologized. That's fine, Hedger replied with a weak smile, his face still half purple. Hearing those 2 squabble like an old married couple was starting to make me hungry anyway. He then went ahead to try and lick whatever goop was left on his face. So, should we pack our things or what? Hedger asked Max. Maximus was equally confused about what they ought to do next, but then he remembered that he still had something important to take care of. He felt his pockets, and it was still there, the necklace Daedalus had trusted him with. Max jumped back to his feet, immediately startling the others. I have to go see Achilles. I'll consult him on what our next move should be, he said, and then quickly left for the elevator. But we're not allowed to leave the tower, Mia shouted after him. But it was too late. Max was gone. This has been a chapter from Book 2 of the new World Odyssey Series, The Legions of Athena. Links to the books in the bio. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you in the next chapter.